Hello, I'm Cheryl Meyer, and I'm otherwise known as Cheryl M. Health Muse. And what my goal is to inspire you to lead a healthier life. So when I proposed my podcast, I proposed that we present it in two different segments. The first one is It Feels Good to Feel Good, Future Proof Your Health, where I get to share everything I have learned to return my health back to relative wellness and to live a pain-free life in spite of the fact that I have autoimmune disease. But the second part of my podcast is this episode, and that's Tell Me Your Story, the Health Muse is in. My concept with this is it's all fine and well that you hear me tell my story, but I get a lot of, it's all fine and well that it worked for you, but it's not going to work for me. And I wanted you to hear that there are lots of people out there that have made changes in their lifestyle that have supported their health and brought them back to relative wellness. We all have a couple things in common. We all owned our own health. Whatever the doctor was suggesting we did was going on a parallel path to us making these lifestyle changes where we did things that cleaned up our toxic load. We all pay attention to our body. You'll hear jazz in the background because I want you to listen to the rhythm of your health, and I want you to pay attention to what your body is telling you. My body had been trying to tell me that I was going to topple over into toxic load for some time. I just wasn't listening. So if you clean up your lifestyle and if you listen to your body, you have a very good chance not of being deprived in any way, but returning to feeling darn good. And that's what these podcasts are really all about. So thank you for joining me. This is going to be a Tell Me Your Story, the Health Muse is in episode, and I hope you enjoy it, and I hope that we all inspire you to lead a healthier, happier life. Thank you.
Welcome to another edition of Tell Me Your Story, the Health Muse is in. And we have a really fantastic guest to share with you today. Dedee and I met because she was running an incredibly successful summit about if you want to run your own business, you really don't have anything if you don't have you. And that was my story. I was not practicing self-care. I had a very successful jewelry business, but I was working 24/7. I was eating on the run. I was eating crud, and I got completely out of balance, not recognizing that if I got out of balance, my business was going to get out of balance too. And even though I had put so much effort into my balance, I could have bankrupted my business by bankrupting myself. Dedee had a similar story in that she also had a very successful business, but she all of a sudden ran into the roadblock of depression. And I think so many people out there are dealing with depression right now since we're just hopefully coming out of COVID. They've been alone. They have been working independently, working virtually. And I think it's important for everybody to hear Dedee's story so that if you run into this roadblock, you have some tools in terms of what to do, because if you don't have you, truly, you don't have a business. So I'm going to read Dedee's bio to you so you understand her background, because it's quite impressive. And then Dedee will share her story with you. Dedee is the founder and a business performance coach of Fit to Profit, a company that utilizes psychology, cognitive science, holistic wellness, and business to help entrepreneurs get mentally fit to attain peak level of performance in their businesses. She has 13 years experience in running her own business in the brick mortar health wellness industry. She married her love for an optimal lifestyle and business to create FTP, which is Fit to Profit. She believes your self-worth is your net worth, and she's on a mission to empower women to be financially independent by building wealth from the inside out. Welcome, Dedee. I'm so happy to have you here.
Thank you very much for the lovely introduction. Likewise, Cheryl, I am very excited to be here today. Thank you for having me.
So why don't you share how you got into business, what kind of work you were doing, and then what built up to the crises that you had in the business, which was about self-love and
Yes,
self-care.
Yes, so as you have heard briefly from Cheryl, that it has been a personal journey, but it really all started for me. I basically fell into business in a sense where, of course, all through my late teenage years and early 20s, resisted being in business. I always thought that I wanted to be a doctor and help people with, being healthy and intervening when necessary. And my mother had salon businesses her whole career, and always had convinced me to join her. And so in a way, I fell into it with having to assist her on the back end of things, considering that we're first generation immigrants and English is a bit of a language barrier for her. So I helped with translating documents, etc., in the business. So, as of late 20s, I had decided to support her emotionally as she was going through a divorce to basically open a brick and mortar business, on our own with all of our life savings. And that was, I say, the beginning of it all. Just like you, Cheryl, I worked 16 to 18-hour days. It was amazing. The business, I mean, considering, as you know, or the stat is that most restaurants don't really survive past the 3 years mark, and 75% of them go out of business in the first 3 years. So we became profitable very quickly within 18 months. I was the front of the business. It was great. It was amazing. What did I know? I was in my 20s opening my own business for the first time, and I did it all. I mean, wearing so many hats and everything. 3 years in was when we were thinking about, okay, should I exit? Because the intention was I was going to help my mom start the business, have everything set up for her. Then I would exit to continue on doing my things, and then she continue on running the restaurants. And that was when I found out also that she wouldn't be able to handle the business without me. So I had to make a decision. What do I do? And I decided to stay in business with her because this is her dream. And long story short, fast forward 2 years later, which is 5 years into the business, I realized I didn't have a life. I mean, I didn't see the sun rise. I didn't see the
I didn't even know
sunset.
what the weather was like some days. I understand that.
Yes,
I got up when it
I
was
didn't.
dark and I rolled in when it was dark.
And I didn't see my boyfriend I was dating at the time. This is when I was approaching my, finishing up my 20s and getting into my 30s. And I said, what am I doing here? And what I realized was that everything was about business. But what also ultimately I didn't really understand until I really took a big step back and just said, I'm just going to focus on myself and figure this out, because ultimately what I was going through was isolation. Like, I didn't want to talk to anybody. I didn't want to do the things that I wanted to do. And what I found out was that I was depressed. And, one of the reasons when I went into isolation and didn't want much to do with anything else and didn't have the courage to tell anyone or get assistance or help. And so I said, because I wasn't taking care of myself, I was eating whatever was available just so that I'm not hungry or starving or like pass out so that I can work. But I was not having a quality of life that, that I needed, and nor did I really feel fulfilled. And so that was that. And I woke up one morning realizing, wow, if this is going to be the trajectory of my life, I don't know how long I'm going to last, because I was on my last wit. Like, there was no way I could survive another, day or even a week, and I was done. And so I just really took a step back. I started, the first thing was, okay, I love being active, moving my body. So I started yoga. Actually, in fact, no, I started running long distance, and then my body couldn't take the physical impact of the running. So I started yoga. And that's when I discovered, oh my goodness, I've been depressed longer than I thought. But I was keeping myself busy with the business to avoid my feelings.
Right.
That was,
And
that was,
I think that's a female thing that, I can't possibly be feeling this way. I must have to be doing more. And we're really hard on ourselves, and we
yeah.
build up anxiety that we're not being good enough. And it all just sort of cascades.
Yes. And so that's what I realized. And all the emotions came up, and I just really was clear that, wow, okay. And honestly, that was also the point where, do I continue with the business or do I exit? And if I did continue, I knew there was no way I could sustain it. So that was a good pivotal point of my life as well. And what's really interesting too, Cheryl, is at the same time that I was trying to work on myself, I also had a personal, I would say, tragedy where I decided to take a step back, start taking care of myself. And then I was getting married. Like I knew that I want to be with my boyfriend, husband now. So we decided to get married. And the week of my wedding, I lost my best friend to suicide.
Oh, yeah.
And the reason why she didn't see the light at the end of the tunnel, and why the point of me sharing this as part of my story, is because that moment was a pivotal moment for me. That she was depressed just like I was, but she was suffering in silence like I was. Now, however, her death, she died so I can live. It's like, that's like my ultimate almost epiphany, is that both of us were depressed, but she had decided to take her own life. I have this opportunity with survivors guilt, but at the same time, an opportunity to say to myself that you can do something about it. And so I never want anyone to have to go through what I went through with myself and losing a friend through, depression. And so ultimately, that's why I started my business. And the brand is fit to profit for that reason. Is I truly believe that you have to have yourself physically, mentally, emotionally, and also spiritually, which is the next level, to be able to be successful in life, not to even mention running a business. So that is truly my passion and mission, is to help every single person, especially one who is suffering from any feelings of self-doubt, but definitely depression and such, to recover naturally. Because I did it through diet, exercise, mindfulness practice, Kriya yoga, and journaling, and all of the things. And I know, Cheryl, you can definitely relate too, and through our conversations. And I love being here today because we alluded to the conversation around really being healthy with eating the right foods. I knew that one of the biggest reasons why I was really grumpy, I didn't all of the things, because I was eating too much carbs and sugar, which I thought was actually my fuel. Like I am always up and energetic and things like that. But when I come down from the sugar, I was completely depressed. Like I was moody, irritable. I hated the world. I mean, so diet, the physical facts, I mean, moving the body is so important.
Right. Well,
And
that also
truly,
releases all your feel-good hormones. But when I tell people who are depressed, we need to look at your diet, they look at me like I have landed from Mars, because they
yes.
haven't made the connection of what they're eating to their moods. And I actually just found one of the puzzle pieces in terms of why this is that way. What
Yes.
you eat determines what kind of gut bacteria you have. So if you're eating the standard American diet, which is all the processed food, the sugar and the chemicals, you have a group of angry gut bacteria that are there because that's what you're feeding them. And then there's a
Yes.
direct connection from those little angry dudes through the vagus nerve up to your brain, which is where most of your feel-good hormones come from. Your gut bacteria actually even produce most of your serotonin, which is your number one most important
Yes.
hormone but your GABA, your dopamine, your
Yes.
oxytocin, your insulin, which makes your moods go up and down and wild if it's not even, all of that goes up the vagus nerve and is in direct connection to what you're feeding your gut and creating as gut bacteria. So if you don't start with your food, it's really an uphill battle to
Yes.
come back to some kind of balance. Now, movement is critical. They are discovering that also impacts your gut bacteria, and it releases all of that fantastic serotonin that goes through your body and makes you feel good and gives you a rush that's exciting and happy and can get through the depression. And mindfulness, taking a moment to just get quiet and go into yourself and allow yourself to feel and have a conversation with yourself. All those things are so important, but people who are depressed, they don't see the connection, they don't see the dots. And when we're a woman running our own business, I think we focus so much on getting it done and being the best,
Yes.
we take our total focus off of ourselves. And my phrase that I came up with is, if you don't feel good, if you don't take care of yourself, you can't be great. If you don't feel great,
Absolutely.
you can't be great. Because
Yeah.
I could have lost everything. I woke up, I couldn't move. Everything in my body hurt. And so certainly that wasn't good for my customers, my employees, my suppliers, nothing. So I
Yeah.
had to bring myself back into balance, and that took a while.
Yes, it did. And honestly, I'm still on the journey. I feel like I started, I want to say close to 15 years ago. And I'm still working at it. I feel like I'm learning about my body every single day as I am working out, as I am learning to eat healthier and all of the things. And I really want to really piggyback on what you said, Cheryl, in terms of if we don't take care of ourselves, nothing else is going to work, in a sense where the quality of our service or products or even like our presence is very different when we're not well. So that is the one thing that I really want to hone in and really understand, that especially women, I feel like we have we're by nature, we're nurturers, so we're just designed to do more, and we're just designed to want to do more and be more. And I honestly feel like with my journey, I can't do more, or I don't want to be more even, if I'm not taking care of myself. And usually for what we learn, that perhaps taking time out for yourself is selfish. I really truly believe that is actually selfless,
It
because the
is.
people, my family are, want to be around me. My friends want to be with me. And, my neighbors is like, what are you doing? Like, that's the kind of energy you want to give out to the world. And if I don't take care of myself, I can't be that. And so that is like, and that is the most important, especially if you're looking to whoever's listening, whether you're building yourself up or building your career or building a business. You cannot build anything long-term without your health. And that's why I really truly believe that you really want to build wealth from the inside out, meaning you got to build yourself physically, mentally, emotionally, and also spiritually. But it starts with, the physical and things that you can actually control of. Like, I mean,
And
there's so
your
many things.
energy manifests good things for you when you're healthy. Your
Yes,
energy repels when you're not healthy.
yes,
So
yes.
it's
And
it's huge.
100%. And I just want to also really say that for all of those who are listening, or anyone, if I can have one thing to say to someone who is, in isolation and is depressed, I can tell you that focusing on your diet, that's the first thing. Think about that. It's the first thing that you can control.
Right.
You can't control anything else, but you can control what's at the end of your spoon or the end of your fork. You can control what you put in your system. Start with yourself. And you'll see the tremendous difference that's going to make. Even the first step, I would say, this is something tangible for anyone who's looking to be healthier or really come out of, irritability or tiredness or foggy brain. Drink more water.
Mm-hmm.
We are 87% water. So we need that much more water. And for all of us, we're always dehydrated. And I learned this just a couple months ago, and it's astounding, is that we're mostly dehydrated. But if we begin to put enough water in our body, for example, it's at least a certain amount per body weight and things like that, but at least 8 glasses per day. If you begin to start hydrating your body, it takes 2 weeks for your body actually to recalibrate. That is insane to me. So that just shows that every single one of us, maybe 95% of us, or even 98% of us, are dehydrated.
Right. That's an easy thing to fix, but you have to start drinking. And it should be filtered water. I mean, I wrote a whole book about toxins and how they disrupt the body and put us out of balance. But it's easy to put a filter just on your kitchen sink. If that's the only place you start, cook with that water, and then buy stainless steel bottles that you take your water with you everywhere. Yep. I even keep huge jugs in my car so I can refill my bottle, because plastic is toxic. So it not only lets little plastic microbes loose in the water, but it's constantly putting toxins in the water. So the only time I ever drink out of plastic now is when I'm on an airplane, because they won't let me in with a full bottle of water. Otherwise, have your water with you, but have it with you, because if you carry it with you everywhere you go, you're much more likely to drink it everywhere you go. And it is that important.
Yes.
And then it took 2 weeks to recalibrate. People seem to think that if they start eating correctly or drinking enough water, bam, they're going to get results fast. Well, it took me 65 years to get into the mess that I was in. It did not happen overnight. So you have to believe that it makes a difference and put the commitment behind it. And when you first get off all of the cruddy food, I call it crap, carbonated, refined, artificial, and processed, you go through a withdrawal, because big food has actually had food scientists put things into that food that give you all the taste sensations that are unamis, that light up your brain and make you happy for 2 seconds until it doesn't. And then you have to have another bite so that you go through that whole cycle all over again. You can break that cycle. But until you break the cycle, your taste buds don't work properly to eat real food. You don't, and the bad food is dimming all of your feel-good hormones. And it takes a minute for you to be eating the rainbow so that all of those hormones start to work the way they were meant to work in your body. It doesn't happen overnight. But if you don't do it, if you don't have your health, you really don't have anything. And it does directly impact your mood. So
indeed, yes, absolutely. I agree 100%.
So you shifted to doing a business for people in health and wellness to teach them how to run a business and how to take care of themselves at the same time, correct?
Yes. Yes.
So tell me a little bit more about your business, because it's important.
Yes. So that's you said it exactly, the way I would have, or even better than I would, is that, yes, we support entrepreneurs, especially health and wellness professionals, really grow their business and scale via customized strategy, including done for you online marketing services as well. In terms of, especially sometimes when you hear business strategists, they only provide you the strategy piece, and then you have to go out and create, a vendor list of people that can actually support you in executing certain projects or certain, I want to say, pieces of the marketing, but we not only provide a customized strategy, we also support with making sure that you implement part of the strategies, whatever it may be when it comes to online marketing. We really do focus on 3 areas, which is SEO, which is search engine optimization, ensuring that the business is going to be found and all the content, everything is compelling, etc., and that the business owners are competing with their competitors online. And also content marketing is huge for us as well, because we work everything in tandem. And so that everyone is going to be found via social media, whether it's on a blog, etc., anything that is the client or the business owner wants to put out into the world, it's going to be something worthwhile for them and also the potential clients. Last but not least, for those business owners that are ready for really that next level, and which most of ours going into that at least, $250,000 to 500,000 a year, we would do also support our clients going through the YouTube ads routes, meaning paid advertisement. And we have a team also that can curate all of everything that you need for that as well. So those are just the 3 pieces of the online marketing, but the customized strategy really depends on what the business really needs at the moment, what the goals are, but also what's really differentiate us from another company, considered that our brand is fit to profit, is that I also provide strategy on making sure that the business owner has the really efficient business model. And what I mean by that is, for example, if somebody is a mom, they're limited with time. So what can they really be doing with that's effectively, and how to really delegate? But ultimately it comes down to it. The core of it all is, how are they really taking care of themselves? Do they have a system to run their life and personal life in a certain way so they can run the business? That is also another thing that is an added value that my clients usually don't come to me for, but they walk away with, is, generating revenue and things like that, and being financially independent, but they can really feel confident that they're running a successful business because they have time to take care of themselves and spend time with their families.
Right. And balance is the key to everything.
Yeah.
I was not in balance. I now have a much more balanced life, and it is the key to happiness and contentment, to be in balance. You can't just put everything into one area of your life, because your body will react to that.
Yes, that's why it's beautiful. This whole journey is beautiful for us all, is we live and we learn, right? You have learned your lesson, I have learned mine, and I'm still learning and still expanding on that. So for all that is listening, I really want to leave this with you, is that, again, you are the only thing that is going to, I want to say, if you prosper, everything else is going to work out. So take care of yourself first.
Right, right. So I have an odd question for you. How's your mother doing now that you have separated from her and you're doing your own business?
Oh my goodness. She actually, since then, that's a great question. Since then, she actually has retired and she really loves her life. In fact, she moved with us to Florida. And the woman is in love with the weather here. She's out biking a couple hours every single morning. So in a way, she was actually ecstatic of like, okay, great, I get to retire. She knows how to keep herself busy. So she does a lot of volunteer work at the temple, and she loves exercise and all of the things. So I think it was a blessing in disguise that she got to retire early. So she loves it. She loves it. She helps out with the kids now too, with my daughter and my son, and she loves it. It was a great chance for her to really fulfill her dream, and we did it.
Congratulations. That's a lovely ending to the story. As I was thinking, okay, now that you were afraid to admit how you were feeling, and you were afraid to abandon your mother, and yet it was like a relief for her, because she could then go and have the life that she wanted to have.
Yes. And she realized the same too, was that, wow, it's just the two of us. Why are we working so hard? And we didn't need to put food on a table or take care of anyone else. And she said, well, okay, well, I'm done fulfilling my dream. You go off and fulfill your dream. So yeah, no, I'm just really grateful to have a really understanding and, amazing mom like her. Yeah. So yeah, that's actually a great question, Cheryl. Not too many people ask about that, but yeah, you're right. She could have like disowned me and
Yeah, no,
but
she
that's
wouldn't have
the happy
disowned you,
ending.
but was she successful? Did she continue it on? Did she have what she needed by the time you left? All of those are things that I would imagine were going through your head when you made the decision
Yeah, no,
that
I
it
was scared.
needed to be you time.
Yes, I was definitely like, it was one of the hardest. It wasn't being saying, stepping away from it for me, but it was definitely, you're right. I was actually very, it was a hard decision. It was mostly because I had to tell her that I didn't want to do it anymore. So that was the hardest thing for me to get across. But once I did, she understood. And it was a relief. It was a
And I'm
relief.
sure your husband was thrilled that you made the decision to follow
Yes,
your
very,
own dreams.
very much
Because he
so.
would
And
have
then
been
we,
very aware whether you had talked about it with him or not, what you were going through. He would have felt
yes,
it. He would have known the energy.
yes,
And
yes,
yeah,
yes.
when
So
I
yeah,
finally
so it's
decided to
happy
sell my
ending.
jewelry business, my husband was astonished, but so happy that I had
Mhm.
finally come to that decision. And I
Yes.
didn't really even think he was paying attention to whether I should or shouldn't do that. But it
Mhm.
ended up being a very good thing.
Yes. Yeah. I'm
And
so
then,
glad we did what we needed to do. It's great.
right. But you're always afraid of how is everyone else going to be responding to it when you make that decision for you. And you're right. It is not selfish to take care of you. It is selfless because if
Yeah.
you don't take care of you, you don't have anything to give.
Yes. Exactly. Yes.
So where do you see yourself 10 years from now?
Oh my goodness. Great question. I've been reflecting on that, of course, as we started the year. I envision myself a multimillionaire with the option to retire if I would like, but I love being busy. I love what I do. So I could definitely see myself perhaps maybe writing books full time, become some type of investor part time. I always had this vision of me teaching a couple classes at a university, whether it is about physical health or business. I see myself doing that. But 10 years, yeah, I definitely could see myself. All of that, all of
All
that.
of that. And your kids will be relatively grown by then.
Yes, my daughter will actually know. My daughter is 5 and my son's actually 19 months. So they're fairly young. So 10 years from now, my daughter would be 15. So she'll be in high school. And my son will be 13. So he'll be in middle school. So I can even have more time with them and taking them to activities. And, if they're into sports and whatnot, they are very active. Hence why we moved to Florida so that we can have more of a outdoor lifestyle. And yes, I think it would just be really enjoying them at the time. Yeah, they'll be in their teenage years. I think that's a great time to be spending more time with them.
It is. And that's when they go into what I call the danger zone.
Mhm.
Because when they go into their teen years, they start to rebel and become themselves. And yet to be able to spend time with them and have positive relationships with them is an effort when they're in their teen years.
Yes, yes. And I think that will be a good time. We'll see if it's going to be true, but my daughter claims that she's going to be working with me in my business. So we shall see. She's already claiming her employment.
That's great. She's going to be a little entrepreneur of her own.
Yes, I hope so.
So I
All
just
right.
did the summit with you. Is it still available for people to watch? Is there a place they can go that they could
So the
buy the
summit
summit and
has
see it?
Yeah, the summit has finally finished, and we did run our last round of VIP access for whoever that wanted the lifetime access to these videos. So that's closed for now. However, if anyone is interested, please email me at Dedee, so Dedee at fitstoprofit.com if you're curious about us, allotting you a spot for those VIP lifetime access. I'm happy to reopen it back up, but right now we are complete for this last round.
So congratulations.
It's an option if you want it. Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
that was a huge project. And a lot of those were incredible to listen to, filled with tons of wisdom. So for anyone who is an entrepreneur, who is feeling themselves starting to get out of balance, it would be a great thing for them to sit and listen to, because there are lots of tips in there for them to be successful with themselves as well as with their business.
Yes, indeed. Yes. Thank you so much for being a part of our show. Thank you so much for having me on your podcast. It's been an honor. And I just love being inspired by the work that you do. And yeah, thank you so much for everything that you are about and for what you do, making a difference in your part of the world and for the rest of us.
I want to go back and ask one more question about depression. You started to change. You recognized, because of the loss of your dear friend, that that's what it was. How long did it take you before you started to feel yourself returning to balance?
Wow, I did see that it was about at least 3 years. It was when I really started like, oh wow, who was I before? And how did I even survive? And I want to say I was at least 3 years when I really started beginning to feel like myself again. I mean, I was excited about life. I was optimistic. I was happy most of the time. I wanted to conquer the world, but it took about 3 years for me to really turn the corner.
Yeah, I wanted people to hear that, because you set your mind that your why was big enough that you were going to come out the other end and see the light at the end of the tunnel. And I want people to understand it does not happen overnight, but I'm sure you started to have many more good days than bad days over the 3-year period. You started to feel the shift.
It was right away, actually. It was like my first experience stepping out of my yoga class. I looked up, it's almost like I start seeing colors again. It was incredible. I can't explain it. I could feel like, wow, I have limbs, like I have fingers, because it was a hot yoga class. It's a 90-minute hot yoga class where it was really intense. So for the first time, I could feel again. Just my body physically. So instantaneously, yes, I started feeling, what I wasn't feeling before, but definitely when I really got clear on where I want to be, how I want to, run the rest of my life and things like that, definitely 3 years. And I also want to emphasize as well that I did it without any medications. I did it all naturally with just diet, exercise, and my mindfulness practice. And that's what I really want to emphasize.
I don't know.
I did not want to go the other route because I felt like let me try this first and see if it works. And it did.
What I have learned about medication, and I have something called MTHFR, which means what goes into my body stays in my body. So I am very sensitive to medications. So I have always approached all medications very cautiously. But medications only mitigate symptoms. They do not cure anything. Mm-hmm. And I don't think people understand, or even in the beginning want to believe, that there are pillars of health that can change your body permanently that have nothing to do with a pill. It starts with food. and all the beautiful phytonutrients from all the colors of the rainbow. But it also comes from the mindfulness practice and from breathing and from stress control and from getting 7 hours of continuous sleep at night. I just read that if you don't get the 7 hours, your brain starts to eat itself. No pill is going to take care of that. You have to find a way to get the 7 hours of sleep. You have to move your body. If you don't move your body, you can't feel all the good things about the balance that you're trying to attain. None of that comes in a pill.
Yeah.
So if you can convince people to try to start the holistic approach first, they'll get long-term effects, because with the pills comes the downside. They give us and they take us away, even if it's aspirin or Tylenol. I was allergic to aspirin. I took Tylenol my whole life. It did quite a havoc on my liver, which is just 10 years later coming back to normal. You don't understand that they give us and they take us away. So you don't just take them indiscriminately. Now, by saying that, I don't want to tell you that you're not going to follow whatever you have agreed to do with your doctor, because he's your medical doctor and I'm not a medical practitioner. But there is nothing that will stop you from making personal decisions about holistic approaches to your body. It has nothing to do with whatever you're doing with your doctor. While you're doing whatever you're doing with your doctor, start a mindful practice. Start to pay attention to eating the rainbow from a farm as close to you as possible, so you're eating just picked produce. If you do all those things, then eventually you can sit down with your doctor and say, what are the things I have to achieve to get off of this pill? Yeah, can you work with me to do that? Because I've done this, and this. So you own your body and you owned yours. That's how you came out the other end of your depression. And look at where you are today. Look at the successful business that you have today. And that came from making a decision that you came first.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't going to come out of a bottle. So as a boomer, I can tell you, boomers are looking for the magic pill. They think that they're going to go to the doctor and he's going to wave a magic wand and they're going to get the magic pill and then everything's going to feel better. And it doesn't work that way. But if you take responsibility for yourself and change your lifestyle, you can do the magic pill is you.
Yes, 100%. Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much for having me and all of the great questions that you've asked so far. I've really enjoyed it.
Well, thank you for joining me. I was really looking forward to talking to you. And what I don't have is where you want me to send everyone. So when we get off, I'll have you send me all of that so that when I place the podcast, people will know how to find you, because that's important. And if anybody's struggling with the business and their moods or with business and their health, I strongly recommend that you contact Dedee and utilize her experience and her approach to life and balance. It could make all the difference in the world for your happiness and professional success. So thank you so much for joining me. I'm thrilled to have had you here today.
Thank you very much. Likewise, it's been an honor. And thank you again for everything. Yes, indeed.
To my interview with Dedee Cai, and I wanted to add a little footnote since the topic was depression. And we didn't really go into all the things that if you're struggling, you can do if you are having emotional ups and downs and you are depressed. The first thing I want to tell you is there is nothing wrong with admitting that you're going through it. So she had her best friend didn't talk to her, she didn't talk to her best friend, and it ended up she lost her best friend to suicide. And that was a sad, sad thing, because that is not the way that needed to end. So the first thing I want to tell you is if you're struggling with your moods and you're dealing with depression, there is nothing wrong with you talking to somebody about it. There's no societal thing that says you're not allowed to be depressed. There's nothing terrible about you that you're going through this. People who love you would much rather have you share with them what they're going through so that they can be there, love you, touch you, and talk to you heart to heart, and then try to be a support system to help you come out of it. I say that because I lost a very close family member to depression and suicide, and I don't want that to happen to you. So start off with talking to somebody, even if it's your best friend or your mother or your family, whoever. The second thing is, if the feelings continue, get professional help, because there is no reason for you to stay there. And there could be something happening within your mind or an episode from your previous life that is causing this disruption and causing your depression. So don't be afraid to find somebody to talk it out. And if you have never sought therapy, I will tell you it's absolutely delicious to go talk to somebody who is a professional, where you get to talk just about you. So don't deprive yourself of that. Go out, find somebody professional, and get the help and the support that you need. The third thing I want to tell you is that there are some things that you can do, that you control, that just might turn your mood around, because there is a direct connection from your gut bacteria to your brain through the vagus nerve, and that could cause depression. So that's what I want to talk about for the remaining minutes on the tape before we go on to the next subject, because I had a little time and I just didn't want to leave it without sharing all these things that I have learned about depression. I think you know what the classic signs of depression are. You oversleep. Even during the daytime hour, you have a hard time sleeping at night, and you have some insomnia. There's a loss of interest in activities that you used to enjoy. You've withdrawn from society, and you don't seem to want to share it with the people who you know love you the most. You're irritable, you have anxiety, you have feelings of guilt or hopelessness. You have low energy, you have decreased sex drive, you have an inability to focus or concentrate. There are changes in your appetite, either increased and a craving for carbohydrates and sweets. Stay away from sugar and fake sugar. They both create havoc in your gut, and that goes right up and plays havoc with your hormones that come from your brain. So why does this happen? There is good gut bacteria and bad gut bacteria in your gut. There's only so much space in there. So the good gut bacteria sort of live in a precarious balance with the bad gut bacteria. In a healthy and balanced gut, the colonies of beneficial bacteria are stronger and more plentiful than the pathogenic bacteria. But when the bad bacteria starts to overwhelm the good, that delicate balance gets completely out of order, and the balance is thrown out. And so depression, disease, all of that means that your body is out of balance. So let's talk about what you can do to get back into balance. When you are out of balance with your gut microbiome, what you are creating is something called dysbiosis. And it creates digestive issues, trouble sleeping, skin issues, autoimmune disease, diabetes, mood disorders such as anxiety and depression, heart disease, inflammation. All of that indicates that your gut bacteria are out of balance. So here's the new thing that I have recently learned. You always hear the phrase, you are what you eat. Well, that's true, but your gut bacteria are also what you eat. So if you're eating beautiful, lush, rainbow fruits and vegetables without the toxins, you're eating them organic, then you have healthy, happy gut bacteria. But if you're eating junk and crap, carbonated, refined, artificial, and processed, then your gut bacteria are angry. And so they react directly to what you're feeding them. So the standard American diet, I have actually read, is now also sometimes being called the MAD diet, because it screws up with your attitude, and it creates anger, and it creates depression, and it's turning off all your feel-good hormones in your brain. There's a phone line then that connects your gut bacteria directly to your brain, and that's a nerve called the vagus nerve. The vagus nerve is a major part of your autonomic autonomic nervous system, which enables you to breathe, swallow, and digest food. It allows for two-way communication from your brain to your gut and your gut to your brain. It can send signals to your brain and your brain can signal back. This way, they directly influence and affect one another. And if one is suffering from poor health, guess what? The other is suffering from poor health too. So if you have ugly, nasty, bad bacteria in your gut, it goes right up your vagus nerve and impacts your moods, no matter what you're trying to do. So start by eating the rainbow. It's the most important thing you can do to bring your body into balance all the way around. It's the most important thing you can do to wave off disease. By eating the GLAD diet, the green living diet, then you change the balance in your body and you can really heal from the inside out because you are eating from the pharmacy, and that's Pharmacy. It's not the big P pharmacy. And for your long-term health, this is crucial, but it's also important for your mental health. And I think that I haven't talked enough about that, so you may not be connecting the dots that it works that way. So, as we have learned, gut health care supports your best mental health care. Your gut is sending signals to your brains, and they reflect either a balanced or an imbalanced gut microbiome. And so they're reflecting either a mood disorder, such as depression, or happiness, because they're turning on all your feel-good hormones. If you want to treat the depression, your best bet is to start off by treating the gut, by supporting healthy communication between the brain and by reducing chronic inflammation. Gut bacteria manufacture 95% of your body's supply of serotonin. And what is serotonin? It's your feel-good hormone. It's all getting created, at least the majority of it is being created in your gut. So if you have happy gut bacteria and you have positive gut bacteria, then you have lots of serotonin, and that's the message that goes up to your brain. If you're eating crap, then you have angry gut bacteria, so you're not making serotonin, so you're not getting the happy hormone to go up and influence your moods in your brain. So what do? Avoid sugar and fake sugar, because they all disrupt the gut bacteria. That yellow packet immediately disrupts your gut bacteria. So you don't want to be using that fake sugar. But believe it or not, the pink and the blue packet are neurotoxins. So they're interrupting your brain. So fake sugars are out, and real sugar, as we've discussed, impacts every organ in your body. So cut it out already. You need to cut way down. I'm not as worried about you cooking with coconut sugar or something for an occasional treat as I am for you eating all that processed food, which is loaded with sugar. I just showed my class how fruit juice could have as many as 12 teaspoons of sugar in a 12-ounce glass. That is not doing your brain, your mood, your body, your organs any good. So cut it out already. Secondly, you want to be drinking lots of water. Your body needs lots of water. It needs to stay hydrated, and it should be filtered water. So put a filter on your kitchen tap at the very least and use that water to drink and to cook. And then buy stainless bottles so that you no longer drink out of plastic. Those chemicals are toxic, and the toxins interrupt the good gut bacteria. So you want to be carrying your own water with you everywhere you go, from the filtered source under your kitchen sink. And there are lots of things that cause disruption to your gut. And amongst them are sugar, stress, lack of 7.5 continuous hours of sleep, not eating the rainbow, eating crap. As I said, stress. Learn to breathe. Look up the Dr. Andrew Weil 4-7-8 breathing exercise. I talk about it all the time. I know it works because I get my blood pressure taken after I've been doing it. I have the best blood pressure in my doctor's office because I do the Dr. Weil exercise, and that resets my parasympathetic nervous system, which gives my good gut bacteria a healthy environment to live in. Okay. Then next up is We talked about you want to release your stress. We talked about the importance of getting 7.5 hours of sleep. Now, this is how it works. The factor that determines which microbes will thrive in your gut and which won't is directly connected to your diet. Since your gut bacteria eat what you eat. I just said that a few minutes ago, but I want to go over this because this is actually from a functional nutritionist that I follow named Blanche Sheriff. If you're feeling down, anxious, foggy, or downright depressed, it isn't just coming from your brain. It's due to the community of bacteria and other tiny organisms that live in your intestinal tract that are sending chemical signals to your body and your brain. This brain-gut axis does and will affect your mental state. Many different studies have shown that eating fruits and vegetables, eating all the phytonutrients, boosts mental health and mood. Studies link eating processed food that's too low in omega-3 fatty acids. So eat your omega-3s. I have talked about that in these podcasts often. Your omega-3s are ghee and coconut oil and olive oil and avocado oil and grapeseed oil. Those are the oils that you want to be cooking with. Stop cooking with the vegetable oils that are genetically modified. They have Bt toxin in them, which is giving toxins to your gut to disrupt your body. And the omega-3s, every single cell in your body needs omega-3s. Your brain needs them. The outside of all your cell linings need them. Your body needs omega-3s to function. So utilize omega-3s so that your balance eventually comes to a 3-to-1. You don't want to be too high in omega-6 fatty acids because that too is out of balance and will lead to depression. The biggest factor in mood and health depends upon diet. A healthy diet emphasizes plenty of plant foods that help keep you healthy and happy. Okay, next thing you want to do is buy a quality probiotic and take it every day. It will add happy, healthy probiotics to your gut bacteria, and then that connection is sending you happy signals to your brain. You can also do probiotic friendly foods, which are kefir and kombucha tea and miso and pickles and coconut yogurt and sauerkraut. In German, I love sauerkraut. Sourdough bread, tempeh, all those things add healthy families of gut bacteria to your gut. And then the right messages get sent up to your brain, okay? Recent studies show that daily probiotic supplements can reduce the symptoms of both anxiety and depression, but make sure it's a high quality supplement. Supplement quality matters, food quality matters, and they are worth the little bit of extra money to get a really high quality food or a really high quality supplement, because if you don't, in the long run, you're going to get sick, and that's going to cost you a heck of a lot more money. Add more fiber to your diet. You can take a fiber pill. I take PGX. It's really good for my gut because it takes all the things that, like the sugar and the toxins that my liver has released, it takes them right out of my body because they attach to the fiber. So you can either eat foods that are really high in fiber, or you can take fiber. Now, what foods are really high in fiber? Brown rice, fruits, legumes, nuts and seeds, popcorn, quinoa, and especially all the cruciferous vegetables, but vegetables in general. Remember that rainbow I talk about all the time? It's loaded with fiber, so it's really good for you. Okay, I already told you this is not in lieu of seeking a medical professional. Start there. Go talk out whatever is bothering you, because by getting it out of your brain and out of your life, you can resolve it with a professional person. These are the things that you can do that will support your body and your mood yourself. Increase your vitamin D. Have your get your vitamin D checked and make sure you have an adequate amount. One of the things I learned about getting a good night's sleep is get out for at least 10 minutes in the morning, because that will reset your circadian rhythm so that you can sleep better at night. You also need to get your magnesium levels checked. And believe it or not, they've now learned that magnesium and vitamin D desperately need each other because of the 500 enzyme reactions that happen when they're happy and together in your body, and you need them both. You need to move. So several times a week, get out and just walk around the block. I have a mini trampoline, which is really a rebounder. I like to jump on it because it cleans out my lymph, which doesn't have its own motor. So it goes and cleans out all the garbage that has been released from my cells and gets it out of my body. But whatever you do, you got to move, because moving will naturally release endorphins, which will improve your mood. You need to eat foods that are high in vitamin B. Now, what are those? Those are meats that have eaten their own specific diet: beef, chicken, eggs, organ meats. So make sure you're eating grass-fed, grass-finished beef. You're not going to eat as much. I only eat the size of the palm of my hand because I want quality. And I have learned I don't need the quantity, but I do need the quality that's going into my body. The foods, I went through the foods that are high in omega-3 fatty acids. I did not mention fatty wild fishes. Salmon is a fabulous source of omega-3 oils, as well as avocados. Eat an avocado a day. That's actually omega-9 oils, but it's also super good for your body, and it will help you have healthy gut bacteria. So they're recommending now that an avocado a day will keep the doctor away and will keep happy gut bacteria going in your gut. Bananas, broccoli, dark chocolate, pumpkin seeds, spinach. Those are all foods very high in magnesium, and you need a lot of magnesium. Now, I still want you to get a check when you go to your doctor. I had a dickens of a time keeping my magnesium at the optimum level, partly because I found out since I was diabetic, I was taking metformin, and metformin was grabbing all the magnesium out of my body and releasing it into, my excrement. So there's a great book I strongly recommend called Drug Muggers by Susie Cohen. She is America's favorite pharmacist, and she will tell you whatever the medications you're taking, and they giveth and they taketh away. So if they're causing havoc and they're ripping some kind of important nutrient out of your body, you will learn about that, and then you can supplement with a high quality supplement to add that back into your diet so that the medication doesn't do that. I already talked about the fact you're going to want to eat the rainbow. It's so important. And look up all your medications in the Drug Muggers, because it's good to be aware of what these pills are doing to you. Sniff your way back to being happy. I have learned to use essential oils, and I love them. I make a cream that my friends all call my miracle cream if they get a kink in their muscles. This will relax your muscles so that you can unkink, so that you stop pinching the nerve, so that you get rid of the extreme pain that sometimes we go through because we're pinching something somewhere. And usually it's up in our neck, even though it might be down on our sciatica. But there are certain things that you can sniff that will be good for you. Bergamot, sweet orange, lavender, rosemary, ylang ylang, and grapefruit are at the top of the list. You can also sniff peppermint, which makes you happy. So sniff. If you're feeling down, get a quality essential oil. Again, I use an organic essential oil, and sniff it. Just smelling, going through your nose system will give you a boost of happy hormones. Rhodiola. Now, when I got sick with autoimmune disease, I had depleted all my cortisol. I was almost to Addison's disease. I had depleted it so much because I had been living with so much stress for so long of a period of time that my cortisol was down to nothing. So what did I do other than learning to breathe, learning stress exercises, learning to release the top up of my stress twice a day? I do it mid-morning and mid-afternoon. The other thing my functional doctor had me do is get some Ayurvedic drops called rhodiola. So if I wake up in the morning and I'm fatigued, And by that, I mean, I am more tired when I get up than when I went to bed, which I know a lot of women struggle with. Then I take a stopper full of rhodiola and water. Well, guess what? Rhodiola also enhances levels of key brain chemicals such as I'm going to mispronounce this, norepinephrine, serotonin, and dopamine. And there is research to support this benefit on the heart and on certain cardiac arrhythmias. So start taking rhodiola. Tell your doctor you're taking it. I am not a professional medical person. I'm a health coach. I do lifestyle change, but talk to him about it and do your own research. It just might help lift your mood and bring you back out of the depression. And then the final thing I want you to do is have your doctor check your thyroid. Susie Cohen, who did the Drug Bunker book, also did a thyroid healthy book. And so she talks in that book about the proper way to do testing. Now, I say that because when I got sick, my conventional doctor only checked my thyroid from here to here. I wasn't broken there. I was broken from here to my adrenals. And so until we tested that for my T3s and my T4s, I did not get a compounded medication that brought my thyroid back into balance. If your thyroid is out of balance, depression actually comes sometimes from hormones that are not in balance. And remember, all diseases, all inflammation, depression, all that stuff comes because your body's out of balance. So have your doctor do the correct test for thyroid and then have him help you get your thyroid back into balance. And before you start taking any thyroid medication, make sure that your adrenals are happy and healthy. You need to be supported for adaptogenic herbs, a healthy diet, relaxation, and stress reducers. All will help you bring your adrenals back into order and into balance so that then you can approach your thyroid and get it into order so that you're making all the right happy hormones all the time. Okay, so that's what I wanted to share. That's my quick how to not be depressed. But first of all, do not keep it to yourself. Share it with someone who you know loves you. They won't judge you. Trust me, they would rather know now than have you do something that took you out of their life, because you don't want to do that. And so to start talking it out. There are lots of people out there who love you, and get professional help at the same time so that you don't end up there. And you never want to be the one who's left behind, because trust me, if you're the one that's left behind, it haunts you that there must have been more that you could have done to save that person that you loved. So try all these things, raise your moods back up, talk it out with the people who love you, find a professional person and get that delicious therapy, because the only time I did it, it was really nifty that I got to have somebody just pay attention to me. So don't be afraid to do any of these things, because you were not made to be depressed. You were made to live a healthy, happy, and lively, colorful, vibrant life. Thank you so much. I'm going to put the suicide hotline numbers over me when I'm talking. And as of this summer, there's going to be a 3-code suicide hotline number, which is 988. So check on Google when that comes, and then make sure you program it in your phone if you think you're going to need it, because you are too important. There is only one you, and you are unique, and the world needs you, and you are enough exactly the way you are. So don't deprive the people who love you of being able to help you be a happier, healthier you. Thank you.